Alrighty, hey traders, John Howell here. Today I have a pretty good training for you that I have planned that I want to talk about. The first thing that I want to cover with you is a bit of a gold and silver update. What's been happening on that on a bit of a short term, and this is just a short term technical analysis of what's happening on gold and silver. And it's actually on a short term, it actually might not be looking good for the bulls, and I'll share that with you. I'll share that with you when I get to that there. I also want to share with you the gold mining stocks, and the question is, there's a gap there. When will it be filled? I'm going to share that with you as well too. What's about that? Also going to talk to you about the one stock that I mentioned last week, and I've actually been mentioning it for the last few weeks, of how I believe it's getting ready to have a big breakout soon. So, and it's been stock I've been mentioning, three, four times now the last few weeks to you guys. And guess what? It had the big breakout today. And hint, I think it has a lot more upside to come. I'm going to talk to you about that one stock. I'm also going to talk to you about the one graph that says there's a lot more boom in the stock market coming. A bit of an update about this. I talked about this a little while ago, but I'm going to have a bit of an update on it and what my thoughts are about it and why I see the stock market is in one of the most drug-induced booms we've ever seen. And it's probably going to eclipse 2019-29. Also going to be looking at a bit of a stock update, a bit of a gold, Barrick Gold stock. I'm going to do a bit of an update on that there. And also I'm going to cover a bit of a story at the end of this training of how I almost lost $500,000 and the lessons that I learned from it. So let's get straight into it. Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video, because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Hey traders, I'm giving away 100% free access to my brand new breakthrough full trading course. This is 8 videos over 10 hours of pure amazing and powerful strategies. This is my most powerful systems and strategies that I've used for the last 16 years, and I'm giving it away for free. So this is what I want you to do right now. I want you to go to johnsfreegift.com, or there should be a link around here somewhere, a button or in the description or somewhere in there. Click on that and you can go get free access to my brand new breakthrough trading course. So go to johnsfreegift.com right now. Go to that right now, guys. You can get full, complete, free membership access. Go do that right now. So traders, let's actually get straight into silver and gold, a bit of a short-term technical analysis. And so one thing that people who watch my videos make this very, they don't really understand the differences between short-term and long-term, okay? So long-term, I'm actually a long-term investor of gold and silver. I have positions in that and mining stocks and so on and so forth. But that's the long-term view, okay? So I'm a long-term investor in that. But the short-term, we can have swings, all right? So if I say short-term looks bearish, but long-term I'm bullish, well, long-term means, over the next 5 years, you know what I mean? I don't know what's going to happen, but the thing is, on a short-term technical analysis basis, we can see what's going on. So let's have a look here what's going on with it when it comes to the gold price. So the gold price, firstly, what's happening here with gold is we can see how that there's actually been a lot of support where we are right now. And this trend, see this support line that we got back here, that's around about the sort of the 1766 level. We've had a lot of support that we actually had a little bit of a sort of a double dip here. You can see like a little bit of a false breakout to the downside, and then now we've rallied back to the upside. So we are holding here quite strongly where we are right now, but it's not looking too good for the bulls. And the reason why I say that is, even though we're definitely at these longer term levels of support, all right? So we have this support level here, and if I actually go back to my weekly chart, you can see how there's actually a few different trend lines that I've got here. This purple line is also just like a bit of a channel that's happening. Here's support through here, and here's support through here. Right, and then we have resistance, support, and now we have a lot of support through there. So that 1750 is definitely a lot of support. What's happening in gold right now, and then also we have this very long-term trend line as well too. Here, find support, and then we have this support through here as well too. So there's there's 3 areas, there's 3 levels of support, major level of support coming through. So that's where it's actually a bit difficult. We got a bit of a drop down last week, and that we're looking at the weekly chart now. If we go back to the daily chart, We actually got a bit of a drop down last week, and now we're going sideways. What we don't want to see is we don't want to see these lows here broken. We don't want to see that. And the reason why is because if that happens, we're probably going to end up back down here around the 1600 level. If we start to fall through here, then especially this blue line here, if we start to fall past here, then we're probably likely to see a bit of a free fall back down to there. And now you can see if I take everything off the screen here and I bring up my moving averages for a minute, let me actually just bring up the, where is that one? Come on now, where are you? All right, you know what? Let's just do this here. So let's just duplicate that for a minute. All right, cool. And let me just remove the 52. So I just want to bring up the one moving average here for you a minute. And let me just blow this up. So as you can see, look what's happening through here. So if I bring up the last sort of 6 months worth of charts through here, you can see we had a bit of a move down, and now we're just going sideways. That's actually a pretty weak sign. I'm not saying it's definitely going to follow through, but it's actually a bit of a weak sign. And for short term anyway, we don't want to see it start to close below this 1760. If it does, then we have this next major support level, which is down through here around that 1680 level. Just below 1700, which is probably where the market's likely to go to if we do hold here and break down. Because if you look at the last two legs on gold had and this is like, if you look at the buyers and sellers legs, and sometimes you can see a really good clear who's winning out of one side, right? So if you have a strong move up, that's a big strong buying leg, and then you have a bit of a sort of a sideways movement. You can see how we've had this strong buying, and then sort of the sellers couldn't really knock it down. So out of these teams here, you can see how the buyers are winning. Same thing through here, right? We had a strong move down. The sellers are strong, but the buyers are having a hard time bringing it back up. So you can see out of when you're looking at the teams here, the buying team is so much stronger than, the selling team is so much stronger than the buying team. I hope you can see what I'm trying to say there when it comes to legs. So looking at that, it doesn't mean we're definitely going to drop down, but it does say is that if the buyers can't start to really scoop this back up, if we start to roll back over and break below 1760, we're probably going to end up back down towards the 1680. Now, once again, guys, I must repeat myself, is that short term, we can get this movement, all right? But long term, it means like over the next, it may even start now. You know what I mean? Like when I say the long term, we may even start to get something like that right now, and we start to move up. All right. So that's actually just a bit of a short term technical analysis when it comes to gold through there. Now let's go have a look at silver as well. So this is silver, and as you can see, the exact same thing that's happening with silver. We don't want to see this. We can see we had a move up, and now look at this here, strong move down. So we had this strong move down through here, and now we're just going sideways through here. That's actually a pretty weak sign, and we've got the moving average, strong moving average coming down. That's actually a pretty short-term weak signal, because we got, once again, we have this strong selling leg. So sellers are strong, buyers are having a hard time through here, and we've got momentum, which is the moving average, strongly pointing down. If we break below these levels here, then we could end up back in, if we break that sort of 25.50 level, we could end up back down towards the $24 level in silver. So silver's actually not looking too good, and if we do start to do that, there's a much bigger picture happening with silver as well too, and that is we're in a triangle pattern here. Now this is an ascending triangle pattern. What we want to see is not what we're seeing here right now in silver, right? And what I mean by that is we want to see this hold and rally back up and then do something like this and then break out. We're not getting that. Just because it's an ascending triangle pattern doesn't mean we're going to definitely break out. So if we start to get something like that, whether it's a breakout out of this pattern, we could be getting maybe even a bit of a free fall back down towards the 22 level, and just looking at this here. So that's just what the market's telling me, guys. It's again, I'm long-term bullish, but that's just what I see moving forward with gold and silver there. So let's go have a look at the gold mining stocks now, and I just want to bring up the chart where we have just nothing on the screen apart from volume. And the really interesting thing that I'm noticing with gold mining stocks is when will this gap, you see this gap up here, so I'm looking at the GDX right now, or the GDXJ right now, and I bring up the last 3 months, and you can see how there's a bit of a gap here. The question is, when will this gap be filled? This gap will be filled. The question is, when will that gap be filled? And so that's always the hard thing, right? So we want to see whether we do start to pick up from here or whether we continue to roll over, because the buyers are not looking too good here, because we had this big strong move down and the buyers are struggling. We're not getting any strong bounce at all when it comes to the GDXJ there. Also looking at the GDX as well too, we can see that the GDX, we had this sort of nice sort of gap through here once again. So the gap will be filled. Whether we have another leg down, then turn around, come back up and have that as well too. It will be filled. But when it comes to the overall strength of gold and silver, the gold mining stocks, I'm starting to have a look at this from a bit more of a fresher eyes. And I can see that just by looking at this here on a overall sort of short-term basis, I can see that the last significant low was right here. We actually broke that low by a little bit, which again, once again, is not a strong sign. If you look at gold, gold and silver is doing the exact same thing, right? We had this move down and now we're just going sideways and we broke that low. So if I bring up my charts with the moving average, the 20 moving average, a 20 moving average gives you a bit of a gauge of momentum as well too. You can see that we actually had this last significant higher low through here, and then now what's happened is that we had a rally up, we've had a rally down, and now we're just going sideways overall. That's actually not a very good positive sign. We don't want to see we don't want to see this thing roll over and start to break a new low from this low of 33.50 on the GDX, because if it does, then we could start to, let's actually open this chart a bit more, we could start to head probably back down towards these lows back here, which is around that sort of 31 level. Again, guys, this is just a short-term technical analysis. It doesn't mean it's definitely going to, but if we do break these lows, then we're probably likely to see another strong leg down, because we've got a strong move down, not much going on right now, and a strong moving average coming down. That means that there's a lot of strong momentum on the downside with this with the gold mining sector, at least on, or should I say, at least on the GDX as well too. Not all gold mining stocks, but on the GDX there. And you can see that that's what's happening. If I go to the GDXJ, you can also see the exact same thing as well too, right? We had this move down and we're just getting a little bit of a sideways movement through here. Not really much going on through here. We're getting a bit of a strong moving average coming down. So it's very, 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 very sort of, if we do get a bit of free fall, we've got actually, the GDXJ has actually got a pretty strong support level just below that. So it's going to be really hard to see. We're not getting really anything too clear through here. But once again, we do have that gap to be filled, whether that turns around now or not. But once again, looking at the GDX actually has a bit more of a clearer picture, as in like a lot more sideways movement. And then and also a bit more of a space, a bit more room to run if it does free fall down towards those lower levels there. So there we go, guys. Bit short term on a technical basis there. It's not whether we like it or not. It's about just being open-minded and just being flexible with what is happening right now in the markets and reading them properly. So what I want to talk about right now, guys, is I want to talk to you about the one stock, guys, that I've been mentioning time and time again. The one stock that I've talked about that I said it's getting ready for a big breakout, so get ready for it, and that was Amazon. I've been mentioning Amazon now for the last probably 3-4 weeks, saying, you know what, guys, I'm keeping an eye on Amazon, and I got into Amazon. I'm like, get ready for Amazon, and I was watching Amazon and watching it, and I was saying to everyone, even my private clients, right, I was saying, look, guys, we're squeezing up into this pattern, we're squeezing up into this level through here, and now we're squeezing up. And even last week I mentioned this squeezing, this small little squeezing up here. I'm like, we're probably getting ready for a nice little breakout soon coming on Amazon. We had this very, very, very nice sort of ascending sort of triangle pattern, squeezing up low, higher low, a higher low, a higher low. So we're squeezing up. And the key point about this sort of ascending triangle pattern that's happening through here is that the key about this is that when you get the market running up and then you get a little pullback towards the end, that's the key. That's what I call a blast off move. This blast off move is all about having where we have this resistance here and we're squeezing up towards the end of this long term, sort of not much going on. we get a little bit of a pullback, and then bam, right, it breaks out. This little pullback through here is the key to making to me having what I call having a blast off move. That's exactly what's happened today. Look at this here, Amazon up almost 5%. Actually, we just over 4.5% in one day. Probably one of the biggest days we've seen in Amazon for quite some time. And so that's why I'm personally in it. And I hope you guys were sort of listening to me as well too last week when I said that. I just kept mentioning it like, guys, we're probably getting ready for a breakout soon. And Amazon definitely did have that very, very nice breakout when it comes to this. Now I see a lot more upside coming when it comes to Amazon. If we're looking at some sort of a target basis, we can use the channel. So we go from the high of the channel. So we have this the high of the channel. Then we go down to the low of the channel. And then we actually move it and we go back to the upside. So I see Amazon probably hitting around the 4,200 level is probably where a target is going to be for me on Amazon. And then it's probably going to go a lot higher than that, just based on where the momentum is, based on the tech sector right now as well too. So that's what I'm seeing through there when it comes to Amazon, guys. Again, what I saw happening is happening right now, and it is breaking out. And I actually see a lot more upside to come when it comes to Amazon. Now, what I want to do, guys, is I want to talk about this one chart that I talked about last week, actually. And I mentioned this last week because I said that this one chart says it all, or this says it all, right? And what this chart is here, this is based on the real GDP. Now, what we're looking at here is we're looking at the real GDP in Q4 of 2019 in variation to Q1 in 2021, right? So we just recently finished. So this is a bit late data, right? There's a bit late data here, but what this gives us is a gauge of where we were at the end of Q21 and what was happening behind the scenes. And so we've just recently finished Q2, right? So that now we know we need to see the latest data to see what's happening through here. And as you can see, this is actually the real GDP when it comes to all the countries. And you can see that at the start, the China over here, this is China over here, they actually had the real GDP, right, negative, and then suddenly we can see we've actually started to have some really good positive numbers come out with when it comes to the real GDP. India is second off the rank here. Now, I'm pretty sure India didn't actually lock down as much as... I don't think they locked down at all, did they? I'm not sure. Leave a comment below, guys. Let me know if that's true or not. Again, I'm having me keep an eye up to date on exactly who got locked down and so on and so forth. But if you can let me know, I'm pretty sure they didn't. I don't think they actually did get locked down. You can see they actually had a good positive there. And then, obviously, in Australia has actually had a slight little number there. So I expect, especially in Australia, I expect to see a lot more higher number. But then you can see even South Korea had a little positive number. And then down the line, you can see poor United Kingdom. United Kingdom's getting hammered. We've got Italy as well too, Eurozone, Germany, France, Mexico. All these are negative. I would say that they're probably starting to slightly become into the positive now, based on what happened, or maybe not. Maybe because a lot of these, UK and so on and so forth are still going through these lockdowns. Maybe they're not. Maybe we're not going to start to see some positive real GDP numbers in. It might be Q3 of this year that we see that. Now, the reason why this is a big deal is, guess what? It's called a lot more printing of money is coming along the way. And the reason why I mentioned that is, where are stock markets right now? All-time highs. Where are interest rates? All-time lows. Or zero, basically, right? Low, very, very low. So with all that being said, guess what? Even though stock markets are very, very, very high right now, this tells you that there's a lot more upside to come when it comes to the stock market and even asset prices in general. And yes, they are the Fed, and what is happening right now, because they're focusing on the real GDP and also the unemployment numbers, they are focusing on that, and that is creating one big massive bubble. And yes, we will see a crash. this will not end well. But in the meantime, it's going to be what, in the middle of a bubble, guys, it's one of the greatest opportunities. And that's why I love it right now, because from now through the next, it actually started this year, basically. This year has been crazy, but this Q3 and Q4 of this year, we've just started Q3 this year. And then looking at Q4, we have one of the, especially what I just mentioned here, we have just one of the most inflated and continue to be most inflated bubbles we've ever seen. And this is probably going to be so much bigger than 2000 and 1929 based on where interest rates are and the amount of money that's been printed. So, you could easily see a 15 to 20% rise out of Nasdaq. I believe you could see a 20-25% rise out of the S&P. Now, by the end of this year, that's obviously anything can happen day by day and week by week, but by the end of this year, that's where I see those numbers. And so this will not end well. But in the meantime, this is one of the reasons why I see so much more upside, even though we're in an overvalued economy and the markets are bubbling and so on and so forth. This is one of the biggest things out there that I see when it comes to the stock market and the big bullish move that I continue to see happening in the overall stock market itself. So let's go have a look at gold, Barrick Gold here for a minute. And I've had a lot of people say, John, what about Barrick Gold? John, what about Barrick Gold? Right? So what about Barrick Gold? What's happening with Barrick Gold? I'm like, all right, cool. Let's go have a look at Barrick Gold. So first thing what we do is anytime I'm looking at the markets, I like to get a big picture view first. And then let's actually start to go down into a bit of a shorter term view. So firstly, let's actually bring up a chart where there's not much on it. Let's go to the weekly charts. And I want to squeeze my weekly charts up just a little bit, or for the last 4 or 5 years. I want to get a bit of a view on where I can see some major trend lines that may be coming into play. So the first trend line I would draw from there to there, and it may even be from there to, probably there from there, right? There from there. So we can see we've had this really support level through here and support level. So, but that's not really relevant to where the market is now. So let's just erase all over the screen. Let me start again. And I'm going to draw this connector from there to there. And I'm going to see if I can, it's probably going to be somewhere around about there that I would say that I could use. Looking at that level there. So you have this support level here, and you did have a bit of a level through where it actually had a bit of a support level through here as well too. It wasn't exactly right smack on. If I go to my daily charts here for a minute, actually you could see on the daily chart, see how the daily chart actually had a lot of support level through here. So that'll be a line that I definitely want to keep on there where it is right now when it comes to obviously Barrick Gold and what's going on right now. On the short term, on the next level here, guys, I can definitely see there's like a bit of a trend line coming down through here as well too. So what I'm doing here, guys, I'm trying to look at parameters. Okay, so whenever I'm doing analysis on stocks, I'm looking at major trend lines, not where I want to draw them, but where the market is definitely responding. So as you can see, if I'm looking at the market here, you can see how it's definitely bouncing off these levels through here. And this trend line that I drew up here, you got the resistance here, resistance here, resistance all through here as well too, right? So you got a lot of resistance all coming through here as well too, and then the market pulls, then the market's actually had a bit of a pullback. So you can see how the market's definitely respected on this big long-term level here. So when I'm looking at these big long-term charts, as you can see, there's nothing on the screen and there's black bars because the green and red bars are not the most important thing to me. The black bars and just having a good view of where are we right now in this scheme of things, like what's really going on here and what's really happening. We may even see something like this going on right now as well too, right? So if I squeeze this up a little bit more and then go from this level here to this level here, as you can see, actually we can see how that there's probably a bit of a level through there somewhere as well too. It's one of the reasons why we're probably through that there, right? So you have this support level here. You had a little bit of support level coming through here as well too, as you can see. All that support level through there, right? From there to there. And then we started getting a lot of bouncing from there to there. And then we're at that level of support right now, right? So we're definitely squeezing up into a bit of a triangle pattern here when it comes to Barrick Gold. So that'll be the sort of the levels I'm looking at to sort of keep an eye on of where things are and what's happening through here. If I go back to my daily chart now and I again squeeze it right up, I can definitely see that there's there's no one really in control on right now on Barrick Gold, right? We've had a move down, we've had a move up, we've had a move down. There's not much going on. What you would want to see for this thing to start to be in a really bullish territory is break above this high level through here. So that's what you want to see when it comes to Barrick Gold. There is a bit of a gap here that I would say that's probably going to be filled sometime soon. But again, for an investing reasons, there's nothing here to tell me to invest in this. I don't like this from even a trading point of view, because it's not trading doesn't actually meet my pattern. But when it comes from a trading point of view, it's something that again, it doesn't meet my pattern, so I can't trade it, and it doesn't meet my overall standards when it comes to an investing opportunity. Even investing means it could be like even for the next 6 months. You know what I mean? So for me to start to become really bullish on this stock, I'd want to see this thing break above here, because that's the key level that has been knocking it down ever since, as you can see. And it's interesting, isn't it? It's like this is where major trend lines really come into play. You've got the resistance here. Resistance. Look what happened. Ran back up, hit that resistance, and then came back down. So we want to see Barrick Gold really break above this resistance here. If we can start to see Barrick Gold do something like this, where we can start to see a bit of a breakout and then start to get back above these highs, this high here, because we've got this high and this high here, then come back down and create a higher low. If we can start to get something like that, then I see this is probably going to be then the start of this bull market. One of the most important things to me as a trader is I want to be conservative in my approaches. And what I mean by that is that I don't want to get in now and hope and pray it's going to go up. I want to be really, really confident, but also understand that I could be wrong, that we are now I'm now jumping on a good, strong momentum. And right now we could just do something like that. We could just drop straight down, right? We could just do something like that. So that's what I'm seeing when it comes to Barrick Gold. So I don't want to wait to there, but for an investing purposes, I want to start to see the new trend start to establish. And our new trend is what? If we've been doing nothing for a while and then it starts to break up higher low, higher high, breaking past previous lows, this is the point right here where we start a new upward trend. And then you're probably going to start to do something like this. Right, and then 12 months later, you're up here, and you're like, "Oh my goodness, look at Barrick Gold! It's had a big move." Right, because where did it start? It started here. That's where the new trend started. So if we can get something like that happening right here, when it comes to Barrick Gold, that's exactly what I personally will be looking for. So let's go have a look at the last thing I want to talk about is how I almost lost $500,000 in one go, and the lessons that I really want to sort of impart on you, and things that I've just learned over my last 16 years of trading these markets. And this almost wiped me out, completely wiped me out, almost sent me bankrupt. Again, right, back when I started 16 years ago, I went through a really bad period, and then I went through a bit of a really, really bad period as well too. I went through, almost lost it, right? I turned around and actually made a nice positive profit by the end of it, but it was a really, really hard slug. And that was, looking at my charts right now, if I go back and have a look at this here, right now I'm looking at this period, which was the 2016 period. Now I really want to sort of stress something here. As if you remember back when the election was happening, if you were trading around that time, you would know what was happening around that time, right? We had so many people and so many institutions and everyone out there was screaming crash, right? This is it. The top's in. We're going to see we're going to see the mother of all crashes happen. It's all over. It's going to happen right now. Robert Kiyosaki came out and said it. Your mate Harry Dent came out and said it. Peter Schiff was saying it, right? Because guess what? At the time, I don't know why, but I had a brain hair idea. I was like, you know what? I've been trading successfully up in that point for roughly around 9-10 years, somewhere under there, or maybe 8-9 years, somewhere under there. And I was trading successfully. How about I stop doing what I'm doing? How about I stop doing what I've been doing because it's actually been working? How about I stop doing what was working, which was just trading my system and having a good win-loss ratio and, kissing babies, making money every year, to then starting to look at all these big fundamentals, right? So I went to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So this brain hair idea, I thought, you know what? I need to learn the big macro fundamentals. I need to learn everything that goes into it. So I started looking at these people that I thought were smarter than me. These people have been doing it for 40, 50 years. Surely they know, blah, 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 right? And I started to sign up to subscriptions and look into everything and all this sort of stuff. And what ended up happening was one of the most worst things that I ever did at the time is that I became so sucked in to the narrative. I became so sucked into the very loud noises that everyone was doing. And this is where most successful investors have the ability to listen to the noise and do the opposite. Because the herd mentality is 99% wrong, or almost always wrong, right? Because they follow the sheep mentality is follow, right? Everyone, it's like if everyone is screaming something, then it's like it's all done, right? Like even last month of doing this recording, Bitcoin hit 65,000, and I had my gym mate who owns a gym saying, "Oh my goodness, I made so much money." I had another sort of person that I know who's a network marketing guy screaming, "Oh my goodness, Bitcoin, we know Bitcoin's just going to go up." And then I had a lady friend who she's more into like property stuff. She doesn't know anything about stock market. And guess what? She's now making money with Ethereum. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a bubble like no bubbles of hell, right? Because guess what? Everyone is now jumping on it. And the thing is, like, as you go, I've been through this a few times now in my life, and I'm like, I'm starting to see the patterns this time. So when everyone is screaming something at you, the smart investors do the opposite, all right? And so back to what was happening here around the 2016 time when the whole Trump election was happening, is guess what? Everyone, the narratives, the subscriptions, everyone I was speaking to, or everyone I was listening to, was screaming the same thing: crash. So I saw this. I'm just like, man, they all can't be wrong, can they? Now, again, guys, I'm a technical trader. That's how I've made my money from trading. Is technically I've made my money. I've looked at really good technical setups. I trade it. Some are losses because it's just a win-loss ratio, and you just got this part. There's a loss. Cool, move on. Most are profits. Rinse, recycle, repeat, and make money. That's how I make money every year, right? But I stopped doing that. Then I started listening to all these people that I thought were smarter than me. And this is actually a big thing to you guys, right? It's like no one knows what's going to happen. And in fact, if you want to do really, really, really well from trading or really well from these markets, one of the most important things to you, apart from having a system and a plan, is listening to the crowd and doing the exact opposite. And so, and doing that, again, at 2016 almost cost me so much money. But I learned from that, right? I learned from that. And so even like last year when the whole virus situation happened and everyone was screaming, this thing's going to hell, guess what I was doing? I was buying up stocks. Why? Especially I bought options in SPY. I bought options in Apple, in JP Morgan. Like I bought long dated options on all these stocks. So I'm like, man, everyone's screaming crash. The world looks like it's about to fall apart. This is the time to buy. And you know what happened, right? Actually, within 2 weeks of actually doing that, especially on the SPY, we're actually rallying, and then we made new highs, and we know what happened from there. Contrarian investor, right? Listen to the crowd and going against it, because they're always wrong. So 2016, when all that was happening, guess what I started to do? I started to load up literally hundreds of thousands of dollars of VIX options, aka when the market drops, my VIX is likely to spike. When that happens, I'm going to make a fortune. Oh my goodness, here we go. And then also, guess what I did? I started loading up hundreds of thousands of dollars on put options on the SPY. I'm like, man, I am going to become a 10 millionaire guy, right? Forget just becoming a 7-figure trader, and I've been there, done that. Cool. I want to become a $10 million trader, right? Here we go. And so I did this, right? It's like, oh my goodness. And I had around that time, I was close to $500,000 in negative positions on the markets or bearish positions on the markets. around this time when the whole Trump election thing happened. And as you know, what ended up happening was we didn't really do much for a while, but when Trump was elected, it was about a week or two later, this started to happen, and we started to break up to new highs, and I'm just like, this is not right. This is not right. This is not what I've been hearing. This is not what I've been seeing. And thank God that I had the position to be in a situation to say, you know what, I am wrong here. I need to get out. So I think I lost around at that time here with the VIX options and with the SPY options. I think I lost around about $150,000 on the 150 to 200 grand, somewhere around about that range. You know what, let's just make it 200 grand, right? Just to make the story sound, worse than it really was. But it was still really bad, right? I still lost a lot of money at that time. But I'm very, very, very thankful that I went back to trading the way that I did, because I ended up making all that money back plus a little bit more. So I had a nice profitable year, but nowhere near that I'm normally, right? Because I had to make back 200 grand and then make back and then make another, another couple of six figures there just to make a nice profit for that year. Oh, otherwise that year could have been a $500,000 profit a year for me. But the big lessons that I really want to drive home there, guys, is that firstly, no one knows what's going to happen. In fact, in that free trading course that I'm giving away, in the link below, you'll be able to see that I talk about the biggest mistakes that most people make. And one of the biggest mistakes that probably you're making right now is going with the herd. Because the market always does this. Whenever something seems to be really, really, really good and everyone's shopping on it, just a month ago with Bitcoin, everyone was talking about crypto. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's game over. And then look what happened, 50%, the whole thing halved from 65 down to 30. And we still may have more to go when it comes to crypto, right? And so as we look what happened last year. Everyone was screaming, pandemic, it's all over, it's done. Guess what? Buying opportunity, right? Buying opportunity. So if we're taking the same narrative right now when it comes to the actual stock market as of doing this recording, guess what are most people talking about right now? Are they saying, oh my goodness, I'm making so much money in the stock market, oh my goodness, this is great? Or is the narrative right now, oh my goodness, this is the biggest bubble in history, we're gonna crash, and they start to look at facts and figures and spreadsheets and numbers and blah, 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 right? All the stuff. What are they doing? They're screaming what? Bubble, this is going to crash. Now, remember what I said before. Most people are wrong. The herd mentality are wrong. So whatever they're saying in the herd mentality, guess what? The opposite is true. So that's one of the reasons why I don't believe we're at the top of the stock market right now, and I believe we have a lot more to go, because we're not seeing there's amazing stories come out like we were just a few months ago with the crypto market. People making millions and millions of dollars, right? That's a bubble. Now that's a bubble. But in the stock market right now, when it comes to this S&P 500 or the Nasdaq, we're not hearing, oh my goodness, I made $1 million. Oh my goodness, I'm making so much money. We're not hearing the barber getting to the stock market yet, right? So therefore, I believe we're nowhere near the top of the market yet. Now, probably in the next 3 to 6 months, we're going to start to hear that. And as a contrarian investor, it's so important to take that and say, you know what? If I'm long the market right now, this is my cue to sell. This is my cue to actually get out of my positions. And one of the reasons why I've done so well this year is because I've seen that mentality. This whole year, people are saying, it's over, it's going to crash, and all this sort of stuff. So that is my story of how I lost almost $500,000. Because if I was a little pig-headed and said, no, I'm definitely right, as you can see, right, what ended up happening to the stock market, we went way up. I would have lost 100% of that option. All those options would have expired worthless. I would have been down $500,000 that year, and it would have been really, really bad. But what ended up happening was I flipped it where I got out for $150,000 to $200,000 loss. Still a big loss. I wasn't happy with it. But because of the way that I trade the markets, I knew that I could make that back. And by the end of the year, I made that back plus a lot more. And so I still had an okay year, not a great year compared to what I normally do. And then I continue moving forward from there. So there we go, guys. This is the story of how I lost almost $500,000 in the markets. this here completely almost wiped me out. Hey traders, I'm giving away 100% free access to my brand new breakthrough full trading course. This is 8 videos over 10 hours of pure amazing and powerful strategies. This is my most powerful systems and strategies that I've used for the last 16 years, and I'm giving it away for free. So this is what I want you to do right now. I want you to go to johnsfreegift.com, or there should be a link around here somewhere, a button or in the description or somewhere in there. Click on that and you can go get free access to my brand new breakthrough trading course. So go to johnsfreegift.com right now. Go to that right now, guys. You can get full, complete, free membership access. Go do that right now.